Welcome to the Communications in MSF Activities video. This video will introduce you to basic concepts on communications in MSF. As you may know, communications are an important technical family in MSF activities. Inside this technical family, we have different possibilities of communication. VHF radios, HF radios, satellite phones, and mobile phones. In this family we have the principles, standard procedures and protocols that need to be set up and maintained in order to guarantee the communications in our projects, knowing which is the best option to be set up according to the context.
But, how does it works? Very good question, Amy. Let's see one by one.
First of all, there are the radio communications, VHF, HF and handset. The radio communications are the only way of communication that are totally neutral, independent and always available. It means that there is not required any external provider, mobile phone or internet service, to operate. These means of communication are essential for us to be able to track the movements of the staff between projects, or when MSF teams are out of the base. The use of radio communications is subject to an authorization called a radio license, provided by the country's authorities, usually the Ministry of Telecommunications. Once the mission obtains this license and pays the annual tax, the use of radio system is totally free of charge.
I have a question. When I need to use the VHF or HF radios?
Good question, Amy. There are some differences between the two systems. Let's discover one by one. VHF radio. The VHF, very high frequency, is the radio technology for short-distance communications. It is agreed in MSF that the range of communication is between 0 and 30 kilometers. And when higher the antenna is installed, better communications. But it depends very much on the environment from which you communicate, such topography, vegetation and obstacles. The VHF is used in radio rooms, in the MSF cars and for people using the handsets. HF radio. HF, high frequency, is the radio technology for long-distance communications. It covers a range between 0 and 20,000 kilometers. We use the HF radio during movements, or between projects. In HF radios, the quality and range of communications depend strongly on the weather, time and region of use. The HF radio is used in radio rooms and in the MSF cars.
Many thanks. Now it is clear when to set up each type of radio. But what about the use of the radios?
In MSF we have rules and protocols about the use of the radios. Everybody working for MSF needs to know them. And it is the responsibility of the logistician to do a proper briefing about how to use them. But, the most important point is to keep in mind that there is always someone listening to the radio outside of MSF colleagues. In order to preserve the neutrality, independence and security of the mission, only neutral communications are made. And money, politics, religion or any other sensitive subjects must never be discussed on the radio. Fantastic.
Now the communications by radios are clear. But why we have satellite communications?
Satellite phones and BGAN modems are used in MSF as radio backup, or as priority in emergency communications when radio equipment is not available in the mission. MSF has 3 brands of satellite phones, Thuraya, Inmarsat and Iridium, used in function of the locations of the mission. In all cases, satellite phones are only used for voice or possibly SMS communications. No data communications with MSF satellite phones. On the other hand, we have the BGAN, that is a satellite modem with an external or integrated antenna. It allows you to connect a telephone handset to it in order to make voice calls, but also to connect a computer in order to have an internet connection via the satellite network. Remember, satellite communications are very expensive to use, and the internet connection speed for a BGAN is very slow and expensive.